What's up guys, and welcome to this movie cricket review of the first Avengers Age of Ultron trailer. I'm so excited to see some Avengers footage at last. The trailers arrived overnight after being leaked from some form of UK source. It's everywhere now. Marvel have officially published it online, so you can watch it anywhere, but it's going to be all over this review, so you'll get lots of footage, lots of analysis from me, your unbelievable film expert here. So yeah, we've got our first look at the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer. Marvel kind of jokingly blamed Hydra for the leak. Kind of funny, not that funny. But what can we see in this trailer? Is it any good? And what can we expect from the Avengers sequel? So I hope you enjoy this review and subscribe, like, all that stuff. Don't leave me hanging on this one, guys. So enjoy the review and see you in the video.
I'm gonna show you something beautiful.
Okay, so the trailer opens up with an eerie voice speaking over the Pinocchio rhyme from the Disney classic, "There are no strings on me." This makes for an interesting introduction to James Spader's Ultron, an idealistic robot created by Tony Stark himself, which outgrew its own artificial intelligence and follows up on Tony Stark's protocols to bring peace to Earth. Ultron apparently deems humanity as a waste of space and sets forth as all bad robots do as he becomes a mechanical tyrant. Let's just hope the Avengers manage to stop him before he manages to break into Hakuna Matata or I just can't wait to be king. So, jokes aside, I can't help but think that Ultron's speech sounds somewhat like a monologue the Joker would make from the Christopher Nolan film, quoting Walt Disney along the way, if the Joker was into that sort of thing. So, saying things like, "There's no strings on me," "I'm going to show you something beautiful," people screaming, people begging for mercy, and then saying you want to protect the world, but you're not willing to change it. I thought that was a particularly interesting line. Definitely something the Joker would say as he exposes the artificiality of the established order. But yeah, like, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just something that really stuck out to me. The first actual shot we see of Ultron is when his hand is all like this and all the metal's dripping off it. It looks awesome, like that's probably the best CG in the film. I really enjoyed that. But I think this is like a metaphorical stripping of Tony Stark's control, like him becoming independent of Tony Stark. So, as he marches on Avengers Tower, he's all like, oh, he's all dripping everywhere and he's got wires sticking out of him. And the Avengers are like, what the fuck? Like, who's this guy? He's big and he's horrible and he's crushing Iron Man helmets in his hands. So, yeah, I can joke actually, but he's pretty badass. In terms of the villain goes, I was pretty impressed with him. And that is no short part to the incredible voice acting by James Spader. So, what of the Avengers themselves? So, what about the Avengers themselves? The following shots montage the Avengers all brooding, heading into dark places with perplexed, troubled expressions. Shit is going down in this movie, and the Avengers are struggling to contain it, both from outside and in. We see a medical table with old school equipment, which suggests somebody gets fatally wounded and needs a manual operation without the use of electronics. Perhaps Ultron compromises the use of technology. I'm thinking this could be Tony Stark as a throwback to his Iron Man origins. A bit of robotic revenge maybe to Ultron's former master. Robert Downey Jr. himself says it's the end of the path. Guess it's going to get pretty bad for Tony. So, Thor also goes through some pretty tricky masculinity issues himself. In the first Thor, we see Chris Hemsworth's God of Thunder having to prove his worth, reclaim Mjolnir, the hammer. So he goes through this similar process, he loses his worth, and you see him without the hammer in most of the shots in this film, where he's coming out of the water and he's all sexy and he's not got the hammer in his hands, and the shot when Captain America's shield is smashed on the floor, there's no hammer in Thor's hand which is extended there. So Thor definitely has a bad time of it. Maybe Loki's got something to do with this now he's sat on the throne of Asgard, but it's kind of similar to like when Faramir had to prove his worth in Return of the King, to give you a Lord of the Rings reference in there. But it seems Avengers Age of Ultron will see the God of Thunder have a few performance issues, but don't worry, Chris Hemsworth, it happens to the best of us. So now we should definitely talk about Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. He probably provides the most interesting character development in this film. All sorts of Hulkamania going on. First off, he's just having a bad time in this trailer, so he seems upset about something. Maybe he's having performance issues too, kind of like Chris Hemsworth, because it's pretty clear that him and Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow are boning. That's pretty obvious, I think, to everyone that can see the trailer. Maybe he's losing control of his monster as well. Or maybe Tony Stark is just picking on him by building a Hulkbuster to kick the shit out of him for some reason. Now, we knew this was coming, the Hulkbuster. Does it live up to expectations? Sort of. Like, I can't help but think the Hulkbuster looks more like a flexing Transformer, like Michael Bay let Optimus Prime go off to Mr. Olympia and compete this year. He comes out and he flexes all of his gadgets and stuff, so it's pretty cool. But there's a few reasons the Hulkbuster could be present in the film. The first off being it could be designed as like a contingency plan for the Avengers in case the Hulk loses control. Maybe it's like a sparring weapon designed by Tony Stark, or you know, something like some sort of friendly device to help the Hulk. And then maybe it could be a rogue device of Tony Stark's which is turned or compromised by Ultron and turns on the Hulk and just beats the shit out of him. These scenes where Mark Ruffalo's like quivering and he's all upset and he's having a bad time. So we can definitely anticipate some pretty bad things coming from the Hulk in this film. Now, I want to take a moment to speculate. It isn't very clear in the trailer, but we didn't see him anywhere else. Does Ultron crush the head of the War Machine, or the Iron Patriot, or the Metal Lotus, or whatever he's calling himself nowadays? Don Cheadle is confirmed for the movie. Does Ultron kick his ass and bring him to Stark Tower to show the Avengers exactly what they're dealing with? Share your thoughts on that one. There's also no sign of Paul Bettany's vision in the trailer, so maybe Marvel are saving his first appearance for a bigger reveal. So let's talk about the twins. That's Aaron Taylor-Johnson's Quicksilver and Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch. Now, I actually thought these were two of the most interesting things in the trailer. Earlier today, Evan Peters was confirmed to return in X-Men Apocalypse. I actually thought Evan Peters' Quicksilver was one of the best things about Days of Future Past. I quite liked his quirkiness and the interesting ways they shot the character with like the time warp sort of thing. That was pretty cool. But it turns out that Aaron Taylor-Johnson's Quicksilver is going to be totally different. Mostly because he's not going to have that weird, silvery frosting in his hair that makes him look like a rejected Marvel Christmas tree decoration. But, but yeah, he's pretty cool. I quite liked the look of the character. I like how he's wearing like sports gear and how he runs as well with like the blue sort of, I don't know, light trail behind him. I think that looks really cool. So definitely like where they're going with these ones. Scarlett Witch, she's definitely got some temper issues. Like she screams, she tantrums, she protests. Like who knew Elizabeth Olsen could be such a riot? So I think these two characters could actually be the standout characters potentially in Age of Ultron. I'm definitely interested to see where they go. And the trailer definitely showcases some interesting development. We know they start with Ultron before joining the Avengers later in the film. So it'd be pretty interesting to see where Joss Whedon takes these characters. So, to summarise the trailer then, James Spader's voice is amazing, really authoritative, really sort of eerie, and yeah, I really liked his voice. The Hulkbuster looks awesome, Bruce Banner's in for a pretty rough ride in this film. Tony Stark feels the responsibility of creating Ultron in the first place. Captain America broods, Scarlet Witch screams, Quicksilver speeds, Hawkeye changes his outfit a couple of times, he has a nice cloak now and then the rest of the time he's got his arms out and stuff, so yeah, he's pretty badass, Hawkeye, as usual. Andy Serkis drops by, no real confirmation on his role just yet, but pretty excited to see what Andy Serkis is doing. It was rumoured he was going to be doing the motion capture for Ultron, but it seems he's definitely doing more than that. So all in all, it's a really interesting trailer. I hope I've given you a good idea of what the film could be like from this trailer review. I'm not actually so sure that the film lives up to the social media craze that it's receiving at the moment. Like, there's so much hype around this film, and I understand that, but just because a trailer's been leaked doesn't mean it's an amazing trailer. I don't actually think it's all that as a trailer. I think it does well as a teaser, and it gives you some of the main themes, and definitely some of the locations. Like, it seems to shoot a lot in Europe with some really bronze flair on the camera to sort of hint that it's more urban, less urban than the last films. So that could be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing where this film goes. So nevertheless, I'm very excited for this film. So share your thoughts with me in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next Movie Cricket review. Cheers guys.